Hello. Today's Wolfgang genealogy video tip begins a series aimed at trying to help us make more efficient and much more simple the process of entering information from outside sources to our preferred databases. For example, obituaries that we receive through emails, etc. So the first lesson we're going to discuss the setting up of the programs to take advantage of the shortcuts that are made available to us by utilizing this process. So the first thing we want to do is to open our email program, and we've opened ours to an obituary that we have in existence in our email. And our first step will be to reduce the size of this window so that we can utilize the screen for more than one window, one being the source email, the other the destination. So to start this process, we would go to the upper right corner of the email, and you'll see a double box next to the red X that says restore down. Do so, and then you'll see that the window is reduced. Now if you're using Windows XP, you can go to the edges or corners till the cursor transforms to a double arrow and resize this box, and then move it to the side of the screen. If you're using Windows 7, they have a handy shortcut whereby you can just grab the menu bar and drag it to the side of the screen, and it will automatically resize to half screen. So now we have the source for our information in the form of an email up on the screen. Now we need to decide what our destination program is going to be. Many of you use Family Tree Maker, so we're going to open it. And here again we see that we have a full screen window which precludes us from seeing our email obituary. So let's go and do the same thing on this window to upper right corner, restore down, and you'll see that the screen is reduced. Resize it in XP and drag it, or just drag it to the left in Windows 7. Once we have both these windows open, we have a source and a destination. Now, for example, we were going to use the online genealogical website. We would open it on the left side of the screen rather than Family Tree Maker. So since we're going to be using that to further the lesson in the next 2 or 3 sessions, let's go ahead and open the Wolfgang Online Genealogical Database, which is completely interactive. We use this because it allows us to enter information, and it immediately becomes available to family members and researchers who are searching our website for information. And it's also a centralized permanent location for all the family data. So once again, reduce, and now we have this to half the screen size. Now the first thing we notice in scrutinizing these two windows is that the email itself is in a font that is not very easy to read. We get a lot like this, so the first thing I would like to point out is that you can actually change this to make things a little bit simpler and easier to read. In Microsoft Outlook, you can go to Other Actions and click Edit Message, and then you can go down and drag across all of the text in the message, right click, and we can eliminate the italics for one thing, and then change it to a font structure that is much easier to read, Arial being the preferred font for online text. So once we do that, we see that we have an email that's significantly easier to look at. Now once we have that open, then we would go to our destination program, and let's go back to Family Tree Maker so that we can demonstrate this feature. We would want to find the gentleman listed in the obituary. Most of you are familiar with the format to search for an individual in Family Tree Maker, starting with the last name, then the first name. Once we have the individual up, then we need to check some data to make sure that we've got the proper person pinpointed. In this case, we have a couple of things that would indicate that we have the right person. One, his birth date, October 4th, 1920, and we see in the email that that's his birth date. And we also have his spouse's name as Ruth Elaine Dietrich, and we see down here that her surviving spouse is indeed this person. So now we have the individual up that we need to edit, and we can begin what would be the next step, and that's to transfer any data that's in the email that we do not have in the database to the program. Since we're going to use the online database, we're going to go back to it and set up the window for editing in this, just as we did in Family Tree Maker. In this particular case, the search box is in the upper right corner. Whatever you type in the search box is exactly what the program will look for. So if you give it more information than it has, you won't locate the person you're searching for. For example, if we were to type in Alvin Leroy in this box and we did not have the middle name in our database, you will not locate the individual. So I typically start out with just the first and last name. Worst case scenario, you can enter the last name and it will bring up every individual that we have with that surname, and then you can use the same method by verifying information in the email to pinpoint the exact person you're looking for. So we'll type in Elvin's name. This box is not case sensitive. Once you get that, you can either click the little magnifying glass or hit enter, and the search engine will search our database, and shortly we'll bring up the individuals that we have. And here we see we have two Elvin Copenhavers. Once again, little different information, so we could verify by using the birth date, or underneath the individual records we have the marriages. We can see that his spouse is the same here, and the individual ID numbers are to the left of the name, so that you can verify between the individual records and the marriage records that this is a proper person. So we'll click on Elvin's name. That's a hyperlink to his individual record, and it will bring up that particular window where, once again, as in Family Tree Maker, we could start to transfer information from the email obituary to our database. And none of us are unaware of the fact that there's a ton of information in these obituaries that we normally do not have. So this is going to finalize the first in this series, and when we come back, we'll have this screen up just exactly like it is here, so that we can begin lesson 2 and see how simple that it becomes to deal with this information. So we're looking forward to the next lesson in this, and we thank you for watching.